with another teacher tip for you, how to build your classroom library without breaking your budget. So there are a few ways that you can do this. The first is to join a book club such as Scholastic. And what's great about this Scholastic book clubs is they offer a lot of rewards and incentives for purchasing books through them. So the more money you spend, the more reward points you get. And usually, if you can spend over $300, you get the most bonus points. My suggestion to you is, if it is in your budget to buy that many books, to do it only at the beginning of the year, because that's when they give out the most points. Otherwise, what you can do if you don't have that kind of money to spend, and believe me, most of us do not have that kind of money to spend, what you can do is use their flyers, and you hand the flyers, and it's pretty easy setup online, and kids can order online, parents can order online, and it's all taken care of. Back in the day, we used to have to do it all where we would take cash and checks and the whole gambit and have to send it in, and it was a big hassle. But they have a really good online program now that makes it easy for ordering. The books do come really quickly, I find. Sometimes, though, the books do fall apart because I think they use a glue binding. But if that does happen to you shortly after you order books and they fall apart, contact Scholastic. They're really good about stuff like that. So this was how I ended up building my library at the beginning of the year. Well, and I did it for many years, but it kind of got expensive on my part. So what I've done now is I work at a great school, and we are given a book budget. And so I use pretty much exclusively that book budget to buy books. I still buy books out of pocket, and then I also take the points that I earn from Scholastic and I redeem those to buy more books. Sometimes Scholastic will even do something where if you buy a book, they give you a book. It's a pretty good program. You should check it out if you can. Now, another way that you can get books is through trainings, professional developments, and conferences. They're great. So in the top row, you say, I have 5 books, and all of these were free. While the first book is all about, writing instruction, it's geared towards older children. And I looked through it, and it really, honestly, is not anything I can use with my little kids, my little 8-year-olds. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to pass it on to our middle school. And somebody over at middle school, I'm sure, would be able to use it for something. And so by sharing books that don't work for you, you're helping to build someone else's library. And what's great, too, is that I pass on books. I might have bought a book that I thought was going to be great, and kids don't like it. It's either too hard for them or they're not interested in it. So I end up doing a lot of book sharing with other teachers at my school, and this also helps build your library. It also helps to make your library stronger, because you always want to think about, what are the books that my kids are going to want to read? Like, what is it exactly that they're interested in? Because if you have books in your library that kids aren't reading, then it's taking up space, and we want to get kids excited to read. Now, over in the corner, I had a friend. She went to a conference. Well, we both went to this conference in New Orleans, and she signed up for this raffle and won these 3 books, these 3 science books, teacher books. And I thought, and she gave them to me because she teaches 1st grade, and so she has no use for them. And I thought, well, I teach 3rd grade. There's going to be some great science ideas in there. So she's helping to build my library. So my other tip for you outside of book clubs is to share books, to pass on books. Don't hoard them. Pass them on, because the universe is a great place. You give and the universe gives to you, right? Like, you give and you get, right? It's push and pull. So the final way that I love, and I have got so many books this way, and I ended up taking them all into class before making this video, but I have 3 that I happen to find, and they are at the bottom. And I tried to think, okay, I know my kids love Horrible Harry, so that was like a given. And I looked at kind of, how intimidating the books are, and these are not intimidating books, and they look fun, and I know that my kids will love these books. But I found everything from like Hardy Boys to Nancy Drew. I found some informational books about science and the weather, and So how did I get them for free? Well, pretty simple. There's a bunch of little free libraries that pop up in the neighborhoods everywhere, right? So if you happen to see a little free library, stop, pull over, and take a look and see what's in there, because oftentimes you'll find great little books. And I then try to take books that I no longer want and pass them on to the little free libraries as well. That way, I'm not just taking from the little free library, right? Like the motto of the little free libraries is take one and then return one, or something along the lines of that, right? Like if you take one, give one, right? So that all goes back to that yin and yang of the universe. And so, I mean, these are great. It's a great way. Now, depending on where you live, probably depends on the quality of the books that you can find. So the Hardy Boy books that I found were great. Hardback, not paperback, good condition. And I found about 10 of them. Now in my neighborhood, I find an eclectic mix. I don't find as many kid books. So where do you get the kid books? Well, I actually went up to kind of a nice suburb here in San Diego, and I go through the little free libraries up there, and I find that they really do have the best books. So if you're smart about where you're looking through the little free libraries, you'll probably find some great stuff. So that's a couple great ways. So if Scholastic is not for you, start doing book sharing at your school, right? Book exchanges at your school. That's a great way to build your library. And finally, my favorite way has to be checking out the little free libraries. Get out there and walk around your neighborhood. You might find a jackpot waiting for you. So that's my teacher tip of the day.